Hello, Tim.
Hey, Joanna.
So I am ready to hear some stories about the relationship map being used in various environments.
And the first one is project management, where you will very often see a relationship map being called a stakeholder analysis, analyzing the different stakeholders at the customer site. But very often it will be expanded to look at all of the customers, split into users, evaluators, testers, implementers, whatever the categorization happens to be. And they will normally put the project management team on the other side of it, which very often takes into account third-party vendors and people outside the project management team. And so you find some really, really complicated and big stakeholder analysis charts, which encompass all of the relationships that are within a particular project. And this is so important because the lead project manager needs a very, very good idea of all of his or her resources and what he's able to expect from people and divisions and departments and how things get escalated, how change requests get made. So the stakeholder analysis becomes a kind of fundamental go-to tool from which discussions are based, and then decisions are made in terms of further actions. So sometimes you will see the relationship map as a very kind of, post-its everywhere, taking up a big portion of the wall, so a physical space, post-its all over the wall, and next to it, a rolling and a rotating action plan, or a Kanban board, or a project milestones piece. So it gets linked with the Gantt chart in order to help the project management team decide what needs to happen and when.
In the company where we have just done a leadership project, the stakeholder analysis was mandatory for all PMs in the project, regardless of size. And in the sales environments where I used to work in, the power map, we called it the power map or pain and personality map, was always on a whiteboard, constantly being updated with new information. What do you think about making these tools mandatory?
I have a good friend called Robbie, who's a PM of a PM. He's the PM lead for a group of PMs. And so he, as a project manager lead, is responsible for the project management methodology. And he makes it mandatory, but with the caveat that all of his lead project managers can do the relationship map or stakeholder analysis in the way that they like, as long as there is one. Yeah, which means, every project manager has got their own, preferred way of doing it. And he's quite funny. He goes to them and he says, look, nothing is better than my way. Yeah, my way is the best way, but I'm happy for you to convince me otherwise. And he works with some very experienced people. So there's a running joke and a running competition to see who can get more value out of the tools that they use. So for him, the word mandatory is used in a very positive sense. Everybody accepts it and there's no question that whenever you want to discuss a particular project, then that's the first place that you go.
Mm-hmm.
In sales, probably end up going with the same conclusion. If your salesperson leaves the organization, very often they take all of their information in their head with them. And if you get them to do a power map, then at least you've got that. If you want to have a coaching-oriented, valuable discussion with one of your salespeople, if you do it on the Excel sheet, it's all about the numbers and the forecast and the win chances. If you do it with a power map, it's behavioral, it's emotional, it's focused on the people, and it's focused on relevant actions that we can look at doing in order to expand relationships, find new opportunities, or find the decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually the description of what the relationship map is in a sales environment. It can be called a power map, as you said, the pain and personality map, sometimes called the Fox Hunter, and is there with the intention of discovering who the decision maker is, the key decision maker is, who the buying group is, But more importantly, how do we expand our relationships and find new opportunities and create plans which are really linked to their business goals and something that will help.
Have you ever seen a situation where a salesperson had more information from the inside of a potential client than the potential client itself?
Yes, they put themselves into a dangerous position there, how to use that information wisely. But for sure, a good salesperson who is selling to an organization for 3-5 years, they uncover information that other people don't know, especially about these connections between people, not about the people themselves or the departments that they work for, but about the dependencies. And within the context of the Power Map, one of the ideals of the Power Map is I can understand one person's problem based on another department's requirement of that person. And you can start building the chain from one department to the next. And one methodology used to actually call it the pain chain. It was linking the different problems of different people in the organization and visualizing it as a result of that. From a sales manager's perspective, the word mandatory is always like a bit of a red flag, but there's one key rule within sales management. If I can use the tools that I expect my salespeople to use to describe their customers and sell to their customers, if I can use those tools as management and leadership tools, it's a win-win. It makes so much sense to run a coaching discussion based on a Power Map. Yeah, both sides get a lot of value out of it.
And another interesting point is when you bridge the emotional with the perception, with your own perception, and if you don't challenge it really, has it happened to you? Because this has happened to me recently, to have the perception that you have a difficult relationship with someone, but on their end, they think your relationship is great.
Yes. But it takes a brave person to put the relationship map in front of them and say, do we have a problem?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it kickstarts. Yeah. So any of those lightning flashes there are an invitation and an opportunity to reach out and to test that relationship and to say, is there something that we need to address? This is the way that I see it. How do you see it? Yeah. Great. So relationship map, and just coming back to our leaders. So, leaders are not project managers. They're not sales directors or salespeople who need a Power Map. But they have a lot of relationships for whom they are responsible and for whom they take a great deal of interest. So in my book, the same situation, just from a different perspective, and the relationship map brings a whole host of different discussions and action points with it.